love me just one more time.
He's the closest the music world has come to having its own Messiah. However, his real name is Al Green.
For the good time, for the good time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Don Cornelius, an innovator, the greatness for bringing so many musical giants, known or unknown, to the airways.
Don Cornelius has really put a stamp in my heart, my life, and just a legacy of great, great artists.
Marvin, thanks again for joining us. This has been a wonderful experience for all of us, and thank goodness it's not over yet.
I enjoyed during the two numbers previously. I didn't lip sync them too well, but it was fun.
You had to say that, did you? So Marvin said, I want to play basketball on your TV show, and I said, yeah, okay. But I think he had been on the show once or twice, and he said, well, if I come this time, you have to let me play basketball. For me to get out on camera and play basketball with Marvin, and I didn't score a single hoop, and he did score several, was not my grandest hour.
He was a pioneer. He was strict. He was business.
As a businessman, I mean, he had to be shrewd in order to make the kind of deals he made back then.
Who else starts their own show and host it and run everything? You know, Don actually used to run the camera. People don't know that. He run it, like them real close-ups when the girl be dancing real suggestive and it be zoomed in. That was Don. Don did that.
If people only knew what he went through to get just that first show done, you know, it's like we have to prove things over and over and over that we have special gifts and talents as well. And he had to make sure that he had a top drawer lineup for his first show, even before they gave him an opportunity to present it.
I'm going to ask y'all to introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from.
My name is Gladys Knight.
My name is Gladys Knight.
My name is Gladys Knight.
Okay, give me the real Gladys Knight now, all right?
All right.
He had an idea, was nice enough to tap him on the shoulder and say, look at this, but to see everybody else fall in line, to see Gladys Knight, to see Al Green, to see Michael Jackson, to see Elton John, to see all these different people, just wasn't a platform for us. It was a platform for diversity to come together as a whole.
If you will, gang, a warm welcome for one of the world's greatest, Mr. Elton John.
She's got electric boots, I'm all her suit, you know I read it and I'm back to Lane. Oh, Benny and the Jets.
Gladys Knight and the Pips, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. They were, you know, I loved that kind of music, and I wasn't alone. All the bands and groups in England worshipped that kind of music. We loved R&B, soul music.
Everybody knows Soul Train. Everybody knows Love, Peace, and Soul. You grew up with Soul Train.
He educated us about, I'm looking at these great awards here, Aretha Franklin and Quincy Jones, and he honored those pioneers in music.
It's just so crazy how much history Don Cornelius is actually the reason for, what he's the reason for. You know, he put everybody on.
If you were an artist that was just about to break through, you weren't going to be on Bandstand with Dick Clark. So when Don came along and created this show, these artists got a chance that they'd never get, to be on television nationally. And that changed the entire picture.
In 1954, Don Cornelius graduated from high school, joined the Marines, and after returning home, he began to sell cars, and then car insurance. Don was not happy with the $250 a week he was making, so he ventured out to become a police officer with the Chicago Police Department.
Don Cornelius used to be an insurance salesman, and he was also a Chicago policeman. One day he stopped this guy, was giving him a ticket, and he wrote him up and came back, and the guy was either Ed Cook or Joe Cobb, one of the DJs on WVON. And he said, man, you have a great voice. You should come by the radio station and let us do a sound check. Sure enough, he did it, and the rest is kind of history. He started off doing the news.
Don landed a job at WVON as a radio announcer, news personality, and a radio disc jockey.
WVON was the #1 black station in the country.
Well, my father's early years of radio is kind of where he started. I mean, that's where he developed his voice. That's where he developed his passion for being involved. That's where he started dreaming.
One of the reasons I was willing to start work at WVON in Chicago for a very modest salary, my instinct that I was probably born with told me that an opportunity to get inside radio is something that you should do regardless of what the pay is. It was never a challenge of any kind to decide.
Soul Train is all about Don Cornelius to me.
In fact, our first time we were there, he called out me in LA as producers.
Production is usually done by LA and Babyface, and you've also been working on quite a few other artists, I understand. The Deal.
We were laughing about him talking about L.A. Reid and Usher. Don was, this boy, I tell L.A. Reid, man, don't call me no more about Usher. This boy ain't got no talent. And he said, Clarence, look at this M now. He's so big now, he said, I gotta call L.A. and apologize, he said, because I never thought Usher was ever gonna be a big artist.
He's one of the first African Americans to own his television show. So he showed me how you can own your television shows.
I remember my first day on the Soul Train set, I just came to tears. I saw all these faces that look like me, you know, behind the scenes, not just on the stage performing, but behind the scenes, and I just came to tears. I couldn't help myself because I had never seen anything like that.
As he developed his skills as a radio announcer, Don had an idea to match his passion for entertainment and developed an idea for a dance show at high schools using local talent.
We gathered up several local artists, some of whom were very, very talented. And we're talking Shy Lights, Jerry Butler, and said, you guys can do some work for us because we have this idea to take shows directly to the schools, high schools. And the next thing that popped up in my mind was Soul Train.
Just the whole idea of selling a culture and making it seem appealing and hip and beautiful. I believe that's his greatest achievement.
It wasn't just hearing the records on the radio, he was putting a visual to it.
To Don, television was basically radio with pictures.
He would eventually hone in on his skills and branch off from radio to television. He joined Chicago television station WCIU-TV.
I was asked by the management at WVON not to go to work at Channel 26, WCIU-TV, doing what everybody had kind of heard about, this show called Soul Train.
And they told him, you can't do both. If you continue your TV thing, we will fire you.
I left WVON immediately.
And true to their word, they fired him.
Don Cornelius and Soul Train, just the impact of, we want to see people perform. This genre sells records. This genre created the biggest stars in the world.
Whether it was Marvin Gaye, or whether it was Bobby Womack or Curtis Mayfield, those days were incredible. And Soul Train is the reason we have those memories.
I was going to be on that show and I had to look right. That was the first thing I thought about.
That's what you get for having such a big hit, you know?
Yeah, I needed it.
Then you have to get so crazy on the end of the song, you know, then they start acting crazy.
I love it. I need every bit of it.
But it's such a great album, and you're such a great talent, and it's nice to have you with us. You know?
It's good to be here. I appreciate it.
Miss Anita Baker.
And it was what everybody watched. I was gonna be interviewed on a show that, you know, catered to anybody and everybody who loved rhythm and blues and soul music. And that demographic, I mean, we know now how broad that demographic is and was. We didn't know then.
The hippest trip in America.